My name is Roxana. I'm from Germany and I'm 20 years old. I'm here in Korea doing a gap year right now.
My name is Mona. I'm 18 years old and I'm also from Germany doing a gap year as well. We live here for a year, so we just thought it would be a good idea to know the language. We've been here since October. We wanted to start language classes in January, but that's when the coronavirus situation happened. So we were pushed back a bit, and now we thought we really need to study before we head back. So that's why we're doing it at proper language school.
And if you're staying here for a year, or like if you're in another country, it would be great to learn about the culture and like the language itself. So that's why I wanted to study the language like seriously.
Learning Korean, it's just like any other language, I guess. It has its like complicated grammatical structures, and it has its quirks, I guess. Some things are easy about Korean, and others are just for us if you come from like speaking German, English, and stuff. So some things we obviously have never heard of, or some pronunciations, I guess. So yeah, in some ways it's hard, in some ways it's easy. What we like about it? I mean, obviously since we live here, we're interested in the culture, and I personally think Korean sounds really like pleasant, and when we like hang out with our Korean friends, obviously you want to understand them properly, understand them better, just in like daily life situations, or when you have to go to the bank or to the doctors. It's like just useful knowing it while you live here, but I'm also really interested in it because I like the way it sounds. And also when I watch a lot of like Korean movies and dramas, so I have like an interest in learning language.
No, it's the same way. Like living here, obviously we want to like understand people, talk to people, make friends, also like watching movies, TV shows, understanding the music, like because that's a big part of the culture too, right? That's like so much more fun if you actually learn it and know about it. Yeah. I've Googled actually just like about language schools. I read through some reviews, and basically it was one of the first that came up, and also the reviews sounded very nice, and like everyone was like praising it. So I decided to like look up their system, their website, and it just it sounded interesting. So I wrote an email to them and asked some questions. Yeah. Well, my expectations from what I read on like reviews and stuff like were actually the same. Like it actually like sorry.
So as I already mentioned, the teacher met with us before we started the language courses, and since we self-studied, but for a lot of things we kind of living here we've heard of but don't structurally know. She sorted us into 1-2, because like 1-1, 1-2, 2-1, 2-2, and so on. So we started in May last month, and now we're in 2-1. There's an exam at the end of the month, and then
we started in 1-2, which is like not the beginner level. We were immediately put into the second level, right? So it felt like at first I thought maybe she put us wrong. Like I thought maybe it would have been better if we were at, like in the beginner thing, but actually she had like knew that we knew some stuff, but it wasn't like engraved into, I don't know, like we didn't have any structure in our grammatic knowledge. So I felt like 1-2 was the better choice. So we like learned the stuff not from the beginning. I don't know, like.
And also like about the part with reflecting, like have we had a chance to reflect on what we have learned? It was, for me personally, it was like well, after I self-studied and by living here, I could understand a lot of conversations that people were having on the streets by just like sitting next to someone in a cafe, but only like fragments. And some things I understood, but I didn't know why I understood them. And the language classes here, like everything progresses pretty fast. So after like a week or two of studying here, I was like sitting in cafes being like, oh, okay, this is exactly what the person is saying. Or when someone asks me a question, even if I understood it before, now I understand it without like having to kind of piece the things together myself. So those are like the small things you notice.
Yeah, you feel accomplished if you actually learn something here. Like it's fun to like actually understand people like fluently.
Right. And also it's kind of a surprise how fast you start learning and picking up on things, because one thing's like, oh, I'm learning it in class, like in high school when we had Spanish together. I could never, I think, use my knowledge from those Spanish classes if I like travel to Spain. So here, obviously, it's easier because we live here right now. But it feels, yeah, like an accomplishment, like a relief, and also you don't really realize how much you're learning. It kind of flows naturally, and suddenly you're like, oh wow, I just had this amazing conversation with someone on the street. No, that's also I guess that a lot of it depends on which languages you already know how to speak, because there's some things that you might, structures, for example, sentence structures from German are the opposite sometimes, like stuff like that. I guess a bit it depends on which languages you've grown up with. Well, I just want to, it's part of like integrating yourself into a country, right? You can, like, I just want to be able to understand everything that's going on around me perfectly, and being able to like put myself out there and talk to people. There's also some situations that I guess as a foreigner you're super nervous about, like going to the doctors or
going to the bank.
Right. Or for example, in the pharmacy, if you're asking for a specific thing, you're scared they won't understand you, stuff like that. It's just should come naturally. Ordering food, just anything. It helps so much to know the language.